So what we're going to do today is exactly what we did last time with like one extra step. The only difference is you're going to rotate around the circle a different amount of times. Do you see how this one right here has a 2x? You're going to rotate around twice. Okay. Do you see how this one has a 1/2 x? You're only going to rotate halfway. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that's literally it. Otherwise, you do the problem the exact same. So for this one, it's sine and it's positive. So what two quadrants are we in? For sine and it's positive. 1 and 2. Sine is the y value. Looks like kitty cat ears. They're the same triangle, it's just reflected. So you can just label one or the other. I don't care which one. So there's where your square root of 3 over 2 goes. $1 million question, what's the angle? That's what we're trying to get at. Pi over 3. Okay, that's like your work. Now it's not going to be x equals, it's going to be 2x equals. So again, there's like a little extra step there. 2x equals, and we're going to rotate around twice. Ready? She's just going to have to count a little bit further. First answer is pi over 3. And then what's this one? Good, 2 pi over 3. And then we're going to keep going. So there's going to be 2 more answers. We have to rotate around twice. The whole way around would be 6/3. 2 pi would be 6/3. So you're just going to add on 6/3 to both of these. Do you remember the breathing one and we added 8 seconds? It's exactly like that. So 1/3 plus 6/3 be 7/3. And then 2/3 plus 6/3 be 8/3. You just add 6/3. That's it. And then you have to divide all of those by 2 to get x by itself. So if you divide by 3 and then you divide by 2, you have now divided by 6, okay? So this is going to be pi over 6. This would be 2 pi over 6. 2/6 would reduce to 1/3. This would be 7/6. And then 8/6, which would reduce to 4/3. And those are your answers. So again, the only difference is you rotate around twice, and then at the end, you just divide over that 2 or whatever number's there. Okay, let's try it again. For this one, we need to get these sine of 1/2 x's together. So what we're going to do is subtract this one over. If you have 3 sine of blah, 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 minus 1 sine of blah, 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 then what do you have if you subtract that over? Yeah, 2 sine of whatever it is. 3 minus 1 gives you 2. So we're subtracting this over. 2 sine of 1/2 x equals 1. And then you want to get sine by itself. So what would you have to do next? Yeah, divide by the 2 coefficients that's up front. So sine 1/2 x equals 1/2. So again, it's sine, and again, it's positive. So same as question 1. We're going to be in the first 2 quadrants. Looks like kitty cat ears. There's our 1/2. And so this time the angle is pi over 6. And so again, the only difference is instead of x equals, this time it's 1/2 x equals, x over 2 equals. And we're only going to rotate halfway around. Now, if we only go halfway around, we'll still get both of these though. So we're only going to go halfway. So we'll get both of these. Pi over 6. And then what's the second one? Get 5 pi over 6. And then you just have to get x alone. There's like that one extra step. So we would multiply by 2. So if you multiply by 2, this would be 2/6. Which would be 1/3. And if you multiply by 2, 5 times 2 is 10. So 10/6, which would reduce to 5/3. All right, what would you do to both sides on this one? Yeah, add over the square root of 2. And then if it's secant or cosecant, I always do the reciprocal because it's easier to deal with sine and cosine than it is secant and cosecant. So what's the reciprocal of secant? Good. Cosine 1/2 x. And then we're going to reciprocate the other side. If you flip square root of 2, it is square root of 2 over 2. You're welcome to flip that and then rationalize it if you want. It's like 2's everywhere. I just tend to know that one. Like if you flip that, it's going to be square root of 2 over 2. So cosine, and it's positive. Cosine's the x value. So what quadrants is the x value positive? Good, 1 and 4. It looks a little like a kite or whatever. Sort of, I don't know, that's what it looks like to me. So if it's our square root of 2 over 2 triangle, what's the angle? Pi over 4. Again, that's exactly what we did last time. Here's the only difference. For this one, we're only going to rotate halfway around, which is actually kind of cool because if you only go halfway, you're not going to get this answer. So you're only going to make it to 1. Does that make sense? Like if you only go halfway, you don't get to this one. So there's only one answer. So x over 2 equals pi over 4. And then how would you get x by itself? Multiply by 2. So you'd have 2/4, which is a half. So pi over 2. All right, for this one, we're going to divide by 3. A lot of 3's in this one. And I hope that you noticed square root of 3 over 3 is not on the unit circle. So we're going to have to like back that up a few steps. If you like unrationalize that, it would be 1 over square root of 3. And then if you back up a step further, you have to write it with things that are on the unit circle. So that would be what over what? Perfect. 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. If that is tricky for you, congratulations, you're normal. That's hard, okay? If you feel like you aren't sure, it's either 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2 or square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. It's one or the other. So pick one and go with it. If it's wrong, you'll lose half a point, okay? Like, I don't want that to be something that we stress with. All right, cotangent, and it's positive. So we need quadrant 1. Everything's positive in quadrant 1. And the way I remember these is tangent and cotangent just go across from each other. So that's the other quadrant. 3. They'll be across from each other. Now, kind of bad news. How many times are we going to go around? We're going to go around 3 times. So how many total answers are we going to get? There's going to be 6 answers because we have 2 of these and we're going to go around 3 times. You're going to be okay. Okay. Cotangent is x over y. So 1/2 is the x, square root of 3 over 2 is the y. That means your angle is what? Good, you guys have got it. So here we go. 3x equals, buckle up, we're going to go around 3 times. First one's pi over 3. And then what's the one in the third quadrant? 4 pi over 3. Perfect. Now again, the whole way around is 6/3. So you're just going to basically add 6 to each of those. Add 6/3. So this first one, if you add 6/3, you get what? 7 pi over 3. Add 6 to this one, you would get 10 pi over 3. Now we're just going to do it again. So we're going to take these 2 and add another 6/3. So what's the next one? Get 7 plus 6 would be 13. 13/3, and then 16/3. At the end of the day, it's just counting. It's just like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that that looks really scary with the pi and all the fractions, but at the end of the day, you are literally just counting. So it's really all it is. And then you have to divide them all by 3. If you divide by 3 and then you divide by 3 again, you have now divided by, oh, careful, 9. I know that's weird. 3 times 3 is 9. So you're going to rewrite all of these over 9. None of them are going to reduce because nothing will reduce with the 9. So it's a little bit of like having to recopy, but you'll be okay. And so those are your answers. I would not give you one with more than 6 answers. I think that that's the high end of where I would cut it off. I think like that's reasonable, but then like beyond that, it gets a little bit out of hand. All right, this one, cosine, and it equals 0. So we don't even need to try and get cosine by itself. It's already set up. It's going to be a circle, not a triangle. Cosine is x. So where is x 0 on your unit circle? Which 2? Yeah, up and down. 0, 1, 0, -1. So it's not x equals, it's 2x equals, and we're gonna go around the circle twice. So what is the first one? Pi over 2, and then 3 pi over 2. And then if we keep going, the next one would be 5 pi over 2. And then what's the last one? 7 pi over 2. 1, 3, 5, 7. Again, like you're just counting. And then you have to divide them all by 2. To get x by itself, you would divide by 2. If you divide by 2 and then you divide by 2 again, you have now divided by 4. So it's going to be pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4. So that last step's like a little annoying, but not necessarily difficult. You just have to like rewrite them all. All right, for this one, tangent is almost by itself, but we have to get rid of the squared. So we're going to square root. Now, when you put the square root, you have to put what? Plus and minus. Okay, so we're going to need to write this as something over something, and it needs to be on the unit circle because square root of 3 is not. So it will be square root of 3 over 2 over a half. If you cancel those 2's, you would just get square root of 3. So this is like the little bow tie one. And so, yeah, I apologize. This is going to end up having 8 answers because we have to go around twice. Oops. All right, tangent is y over x. So square root of 3 over 2 is the y, 1/2 is the x. And that means your angle is pi over 3. So it will be 2x equals, here we go. Are you ready? Pi over 3. What's the next one? Get 2 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3. That's once around. Again, the whole way around is 6/3. So really you just have to go back and add 6 to each of these. So it would be 7/3, 8/3, 10/3, and 11/3. And then what do you do to get x by itself? Divide by 2. If you divide by 3 and then you divide by 2, you have now divided by 6. Just be careful because some of them are going to reduce. The fractions will reduce. First one's pi over 6. Next, you would have 2/6, which is 1/3. And then 4/6, which is 2/3. And then 5/6, which doesn't reduce. 7/6, which doesn't reduce. 8/6 would be 4/3, 10/6 would be 5/3, and then 11/6. Yay. It's okay, we survived, not that bad. All right, it's a little bit of writing, but you're gonna be okay. All right. Tangent and it equals -1. This one is a little bit tricky because -1 kind of makes you think of the circle, but for tangent, it's not. It's going to be a triangle. Tangent is negative in which 2 quadrants? It can't be 1 because everything's positive there. So 2 and 4. That's how I remember it. I just remember they go across from each other, and it can't be 1 because everything is positive there. So what are the sides so that you end up with -1? Yeah, good. It's your square root of 2 over 2 triangle. Anything over itself is 1. So tangent and cotangent, it ends up being a triangle, not a circle. And so your angle is pi over 4. And we're going to go around twice. So 2x equals, what is this first one going to be? 3 pi over 4. And then this one is 7 pi over 4. Now the whole way around is how many fourths? How many fourths? 8/4. So you're just going to add 8 basically to each of those. Add 8/4. So 8 plus 3 is 11. and 8 plus 7 is 15. So you're adding one extra rotation. And then you have to divide them all by 2. So if you divide by 4 and then you divide by 2, you have now divided by 8. So just recopy them all over 8. And you reduce the fractions if you can. This time none of them do, which is kind of nice. Less work. All right, and then last one. What are we going to do to start getting sign by itself? Subtract 1. And then divide by 2. And then we're going to decide what quadrants we're in. So it's sine and it's negative. Sine's the y value. So what 2 quadrants is that? 3 and 4. It's like the upside down kitty cat ears. Now you can kind of stop there because this says x over 2. So how far are we rotating? Only halfway. And so if we only go halfway, what happens? Yeah, like you don't make it to either of these. And so no solution.